Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. My name is Gregg Prescott from in5d.com, in5d.net, and Zentassia.com. And tonight I'm doing a one-on-one chat with my friend, astrologer Jim Dellicolli. Hi, Jim.
Gregg, it's been a while. How you doing?
It has, and we have to explain a couple things here first. Number one, Jim can't figure out how to get his camera on here. That's why we're a little late. We're trying to figure out how to get a picture of Jim up here, so he'd have a live video going as well. And number two, I didn't realize that he told his followers to come on into the studio, and I thought there were spammers or something like that. So I got to apologize to his followers. I know I kicked a few out, and I think I banned one accidentally. So I never do that, but I thought somehow somebody is trying to get in and spam. But yeah, try watching on the N5D YouTube channel, and everything will be okay from there. So without further ado, let me do something else too before we get rolling here. All right. Hang on. And this is just for people who have been following N5D for a while. I think you'll totally understand what this is all about. So
Blog Talk Radio. You're tuned into N5D Radio, the next dimension in radio, where we bring you the hottest, in-depth, spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric conversations and news with your hosts, Gregg Prescott and Kendra Gilbert. Get ready for spirit, body, and mind to expand in 3, 2, 1.
well, does that bring back memories?
Man, that was a lot of fun. I thought back. I didn't prepare much because you're so good at interviewing that we just let this thing flow. So I think everybody will see that tonight. But
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun back in the day, Greg.
It was. And you know what? I tried to get Kendra. I at the last minute, I thought, well, shit, wouldn't it be great if I got Kendra on here just to pop in and ask a question,
Right?
For old time's sake. But she's having a dinner party tonight, and she said she'll be listening. And
Okay.
she did give me a couple questions to ask you. So,
Okay. Well, tell her I said hello. So
you're telling her right now. She's
good. Hello, Kendra.
she's either listening or is listening on the recorded version of this. Let me just start out. I don't think I ever asked you this. How did you initially get into astrology?
That was how I was going to start, but I knew you were going to do that for me. It is. I was born in '65, and 2001. I was looking at everything I had accomplished, and I wasn't happy anywhere. And I was married, of course, and I had created a decent company that was making money, and things were really starting to work. And I was so unhappy I couldn't believe it. So I went to an astrologer. It was in August of 2001, and she told me everything that my soul would tell myself, that voice inside. And it hit me so hard. I could not get her out of my head. And from that day on, Greg, astrology has been, it's not been the driving force, but it's been a very, very, very productive tool for how I operate and how I truly found myself.
They say that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And that's what astrology teaches us. It shows us the cycles of time, how history repeats itself, like what we were talking about in previous videos with the whole Pluto and Leo, or the Pluto generations, the Pluto and Capricorn. Now we're in Pluto and Aquarius. Yeah, we're officially in that age of Aquarius. And I'd like to talk to you about that transition. Because we knew that Pluto and Capricorn would bring out all the truths, and boy, did we see a shitload of those It seems like that's still coming up, but even more so, there's something still going on top of it. And I've mentioned this on my recent broadcast. There's this energy, and I call it the summer of love type energy, where this love energy is going on right now, despite all the crap that's going on in Gaza and everything. Anyway, I just threw a lot at you. You know, the transitioning of Pluto and Capricorn to Pluto and Aquarius, and all these energies. Why don't you touch on that stuff?
Well, you hit, I think, the key to Pluto and its energy and its power, because really we're all just energetic beings, and we came and got stuck in this damn physical body here. And Pluto, it's interesting. You said love, and then we got the Gaza, we got war. Well, those are opposites. Pluto rules in extremes. Pluto doesn't rule the middle ground. Pluto rules white, black, light, dark, good, bad, evil, goodness. It rules all of that from the extreme. And so anybody that's heavy Plutonian or Scorpio, Pluto rules Scorpio, they're going to deal in a life of extremes. What it really is, it's understanding control for control purposes. You either relinquish control from the Plutonian perspective if you're heavily Plutonian, or you try to get it. And that's what you and I talked about as Pluto was in Capricorn. It was early in when we had that, did that video, and we had talked about that the powers, anything that tried to take over for control's sake was going to get called out. You get out of line with nature, and you try to control, and then basically be a parasite to a host. You're in big trouble. Pluto is going to rip you to shreds. And Pluto is intense. It will not stop until the lesson's learned. So that's why they call it the phoenix that rises from the destruction from whatever, to where it basically crumbles into nothing. And then you have to rebuild from that.
It basically tears down everything that is not in humanity's best interest at this juncture, and it gives us that opportunity to rebuild it in humanity's best interest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now that we're just entering the age of Aquarius, and this kind of ties in with what Kendra was asking earlier. She wanted to know about what does 2024 to 2025 look like in terms of all this warmongering crap, and if you see any potential for any major events around election time.
Now, as I've incorporated astrology into how I approach life, I have so many more clues and so many more of the obvious. They're not even surprises anymore. And what it is a form of control that we've witnessed is money. And they financially ruined the monetary system by just becoming printers. But they're the ones that got the ability to print. We were the ones that supported the value of that, whatever they were printing. So that's you're going to watch that be destroyed. It's going to be helped by Pluto and Jupiter and Taurus. We can get to that later. But we will see a lot of endings for beginnings. I want to be careful because I know a lot of people go off sideways when you say death, war, whatever. There's a lot of things that need to be destroyed. We've gotten them to the point where they're out into the light because Pluto rules hidden, Scorpio rules hidden. They're into the light. Now that you see them, you can never not see them again. So you've advanced. You wanted to be here. You are here. And it's about, as you notice this, what are you going to do? And really, Greg, you've done this for years like I have, because we had Pluto in Virgo, and we were not going to Pluto was not going to be just a fly-by-night, whatever. We were going to find the most detailed part of Pluto in its finest point. We were going to analyze the hell out of it, being Pluto and Virgo. And that's what we've done. So we've been doing the work, right? And it's in all facets. I just shot a video the other day on about how they've gone after us, whether it be money, whether it be food, whether it be control, health, whatever. Pluto is kind of over all that. And so what we're going to see is trying to rid the souls that haven't picked up and figured it out. I think if you've been doing the work or you're starting to wake up, you are in a very powerful position, but you don't want to be there for power's sake, if that makes sense.
Is that why it seems like a lot of the elites are going underground, and
Yes.
because the inevitable is about to happen and they can't escape it.
Yeah, and I talked a lot about April to July of this year, just because it's all out in the open, right? And you can't hide it anymore. And the most ironic thing is Pluto rules hidden, and they do this in cycles. Go underground, they go hide. And the most ironic thing, Greg, that I really want people to start think the opposite, right? So they tell us to look in the sky for NASA and space. I'm telling you, it's all underneath the ground. It's beneath you. Don't fall for the narrative of look up. We're going here. We're going there. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's beneath you. Pluto's showing us this. Wake up. But they do go underground and then they resurface. They know they have this clock. They know when devastation has either taken its course and, depleted the masses, or that, maybe everybody's gotten through it and maybe they won't notice. I don't know. We're going to see how they do it. I think this is the final one for them. I truly do.
Last night, Allie and I have a show on Rumble, live and uncensored. We don't have to tippy-toe around anything like we do here on YouTube.
Right.
And eventually I'd like to get you on there, because we can go down the rabbit hole outside of astrology in so many different areas. And it'd be great to do that. And maybe after this show, we'll make an arrangement for time to do that.
And a lot of people tell me I'm too cryptic. I'm like, no, I need you. You have to prove you want to work to get there. It's not me. I'm not in charge of it. But if you don't want to do the work and I keep giving you what to do, I become your karma. I'm not interested in it. Me and you talked about that in the past.
Oh, yeah. Last night, though, Allie and I talked about, she gave me a video to upload, and I put it on there, and it showed how up in Antarctica, how some of this is starting to melt, and they're finding lost civilizations. And I was saying that it's not just there, it's everywhere. You could, if you were to drill 2-3 miles into the ground anywhere on the planet, after a pole shift, every 12,000 years, maybe they wait another 12,000 years and another pole shift before they reseed the planet and have all this shit start over again. Give us some bullshit story about some deity that came here to save us all, for us to believe in something. That like the whole Jesus story is, and I don't want to offend anyone that's Christian, but there were at least 9 other deities before Jesus that were born to a virgin on December 25th, died on the cross, resurrected after 3 days, 12 disciples, same story over and over and over again. Well, is it possible that that same story is being regurgitated every time there's a reset? And are they preparing for that one right now?
Yes, they are. And it's not thousands of years. We're all going to learn that. The town I grew up in, small town in Indiana, and they were going to change the main street downtown. So they were going to widen it, move sidewalks, whatever. And they started digging. And you know what they found, Greg? There was a town not that old, because there was barbershops. There were like dime stores, and it was just beneath the surface. Something happened, and it covered it. And they just came geographically same spot. They just built right on top of it. So it's not thousands of years, but it's hundreds, you'll see. Right. And so we're starting to get these little pieces that are putting this whole scenario together, that I can see and feel people going, that makes more sense. This is something that I can comprehend. This, the math adds up, and that's what we're getting to.
In Illinois, there was this coin that they, place. Hang on. I'm trying to find the link on N5D. Out of place artifacts. I'm doing the search for it.
I'm going to throw a couple more things in there. I don't think I could have been more excited for the advanced generations coming after us. We were Pluto Virgo, and then it just followed in line: Libra, then Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and now Aquarius, right? And so each one was going to provide us in the future a huge information that they had that they're going to bring to us to help us find the truth. That's where we're at now. So I'm so excited for these children born, well, from Sagittarius on, and what they're bringing us. And they already are, right? They're mid-teens now, Sagittarius to mid-20s. And from that to Capricorn to Aquarius and then to Pisces, they are going to be magical. They will. We just must find everything out we can and pass it to them, because they are going to take this and fix this. I think they will actually write this. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a serious dumbing down of the educational system. And as you know, most of the things that they learn in school is hot air and bullshit anyway. Mm-hmm. This is what I was going to show you, though. In Illinois, a well bit brought up a 200,000-year-old bronze coin from a depth of 114 feet just outside of Chillicothe, Illinois. According to the Illinois Geological Survey, the deposits containing the coin are between 200,000 and 400,000 years old, and this is the coin.
And it was made out of, did you say brass?
Bronze. Or no, yeah, bronze coin. Yeah.
Wow.
So how many times have we been there and done this crap over with money, fiat currency, and probably interest on that bullshit too? Yes.
Well, and the sad truth here is evil mimics. Evil doesn't provide its own life force. It has to take so they use our life force and they mimic our individuality. Once you grasp that concept, you then are on your way, because you'll be the individual we needed you to be to help us in our venture. You're doing your part. I know that. I'm doing the best I can. And man, I'm finding people everywhere that are finally just thinking and acting on their own.
That's what they say about archons.
Okay.
They can imitate, but they can't create.
Yep. Yeah. They can perfect maybe, right, what we've done, but they don't know where we can go. They don't know our potential. That will never happen. I believe that with everything I have, and I don't think that's just something to make myself feel better. I do truly believe that's factual.
See, some of the bullshit that I question, like in the Bible, you have, I was talking about this the other day. In Genesis 1:26, it says, "Let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness." This is Genesis, the first chapter of the Bible. So who, and Jordan Maxwell brought this up, who is us and our?
Yes. And
according to Jordan, he said that it's the Elohim.
Yep.
El means God. Ohim is plural. The plural. Let the gods, let us, the gods that create, the demigods, create man in our own. And people are praying to these demigods that put us here to be their slaves, basically.
Absolutely.
Crazy. Anyway, I was wondering though, so if Adam and Eve were the first people on the planet, where do the cavemen come in?
Right. Well, I said something to somebody the other day. I said, why do they call it an Adam's apple? Right?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why do you think it is?
Well, I don't really have an answer, but we talk about Adam and Eve and the apple. Who ate the apple? The men have the Adam's apple, and it sticks out.
Yeah.
Who ate it? I'm not real sure, but it just made me like, wait a minute, stop for just a moment.
I thought it was Eve that ate the apple.
It was. That's what I'm saying. And so were we lied to again? I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's like they tell you, but they spend more time telling you the lie to get you to believe the lie. And then when they tell you the truth, you're not even looking at it, right? So you're not even looking at it.
And all the contradictions that are in the Bible, they'll say one thing and then contradict themselves 180 degrees around.
Yes.
Crazy.
And this eclipse that just happened, I wasn't too worried about anything happening at that moment. What my thing was something hidden went on, right? And some things were set in motion, but what we're going to see between now, I really think this full moon in Scorpio, which is the 24th, is going to be big all the way through July. So you'll see this thing just come apart and to get destroyed. But it wasn't going to be at the eclipse because they told everybody to look, and I try not to do that because then I got karma, right? I try to be careful. And I'm just like, They want you to look right, and left is where you should be. And I try to explain it that way.
Allie and I do global predictions every Tuesday night, and the 5 weeks leading up to the solar eclipse, we were asked about the eclipse. And in the meanwhile, there were all these fear mongers that were putting out this bullshit out there, and I called them all out.
Nice.
And that's what we have to do.
That's our job at this point. Fear should not be anywhere. That's right.
No. And I called them out, but every time when Allie and I did a reading and looked into, and we did it every week, because who knows, when you read the tarot, the cards will change. So it's funny, the moon pops up on there.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so we checked it out, and every time it was the same thing. No, there's not any fear-mongering event that's going to happen. But, is it possible that something was going on? I got the Hanged Man, which makes you look at things from a different angle.
Yep.
And that's when I said, is it possible that and I also got the Star card, which says there might have been help from the galactics. Mm-hmm. So I put it out there, and I said, is it possible that it's bringing in this new energy and that there's something else going on in the background? That's why they're putting out this fear disinfo bullshit.
Yep. I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah. It's pissed me off that people will put crap like that out there. And that's pretty much why when this love energy, that I call it, has started coming in, and it's a tangible energy of love that so many people, I've put it out there a number of times in 5D on various videos, and so many people have attested to that. They're feeling it as well. It's a tangible feeling that you can feel all the way up into the crown chakra. Yeah. Is there an astrological reason why people are feeling that?
I think that the human spirit will never be destroyed, and that when it gets backed into a corner, the greatest of the human spirit comes out. And I think that's what you're seeing. In the end, love's the only thing that matters. That's all that mattered ever. And we got away from it. We got away from it and said things matter. Status matters, right? But in the end, when you, I watch my daughters with my grandchildren, they just love those kids. And it is so amazing to watch that, and that will take and provide anything you need. It's just that you're the one that has to overcome all this other BS that we've been fed. So
I see in the waiting room, I see Kendra's there, but she's not able to connect her device either.
Good. Now I don't feel so bad.
Oh man. Hopefully, if she does, I'll bring her in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kendra, it says that your devices aren't connected, which means you need to either connect your microphone or camera before we can add you to the stream. But okay, let's move on. I was curious about that and that love energy and what we can expect here in the near future. But I was also wondering, how do current planetary positions and transits influence the collective consciousness and mass consciousness?
Yeah. Neptune's in its own sign, Pisces. So Pisces rules the 12th house in astrology. It rules karma, self-imprisonment, and it's the highest sense of love possible. Saturn is there as well. I think these two together couldn't have been more magical. In that Saturn teaches you the physical plane lessons. Neptune doesn't care about the physical plane. Neptune teaches you the energetic fields, right? That I call them non-physical, but obviously energy has substance, right? And so with those two there, I think we're fighting and we're learning and we're advancing, we're maturing in that we understand not just love, but why, the power of it. And we're also trying to figure out why we got off course, what got us off course, what's not love, right? So you're dealing in extremes. Again, Pluto and Aquarius is doing that. Those two planets, Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, you have to deal with your past that got you tripped up, right? Neptune and Saturn and Pisces. And so I love what everybody's doing that's working on it, because they're realizing that, man, this is a huge advancement. And really what I'm looking at, and this is for me, if nobody takes this or, and does anything with it, I'm looking at, I don't think I'm going to go to the light when I pass on. And my choices are there. I'm going to be more focused. I'm not going to let the first thing that comes by and grabs my awareness and be drawn to it. I might end up at the light, but I'm not running there right away. I've assessed who I am. I'm more in the center. I'm going to weigh my options, so to speak, and come to a mastery of this, not letting somebody guide me or lead me where I'm the led to slaughter, so to speak. I'm not going to do that to that level. I just won't fall for the first thing. And I think that's what I see a lot of people doing. They're realizing where they had their shortcomings in this life. And I think astrology is screaming at us that, man, you are developing rapidly at a soul level, to where I think you can get to the end, the final, where you have you are a universe. And I think we are anyway. So
hit the nail on the head. I totally agree with you. I think that, and I've read this and I can't prove it, and I'm not sure, what the actual truth is, but I've heard that the whole tunnel of light is the Syrian reincarnation system. You go through the mind wipe, then you have to do all this bullshit all over again. You got what looks like or appears to be your friends and family waving you in. Come on in. We've been waiting for you. Mm-hmm. And that's the allure that draws you in.
Yep. Well, and then think of the birth canal.
Yeah. Yeah, right? The tunnel of light. Yeah.
Absolutely. You in your head, and so you have your mom and dad waiting for you. Well, I think y'all both picked each other for lessons. I think when you get to the end, that's not a necessary step. It's not part of the process anymore.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense to some. If it don't make sense, I get it. That's where I am. How's that?
Yeah. No, I've thought about that, because you can hang out outside of that tunnel of light.
Yes.
You don't have to go in. I think Journeys Out of the Body by, Robert Monroe? They talk about, being in this plane where there's a bunch of people that are, and some people say that, these are people that are lost and haven't gone into the light and need to be directed there. But what if they're not? What if they're just people that said, fuck the light. I'm not going, or fuck the tunnel, not the false tunnel of light.
Yes.
What if that real tunnel is your soul spark?
Yes.
Within.
Absolutely. 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 And I think that we're asking these questions, and even just venturing there, we're heading somewhere, and I'm not saying we're right now. I'm not going to say we're wrong. I'm going to keep going. So.
I see Kendra in the chat. She said, so I figured out this part so far. At least I figured out how to get into the chat.
Oh, good.
I see it, Kendra, down there. You just got to connect your camera and microphone, but don't feel bad. Jim couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah.
So interesting to hear you talk about this. I've been talking about this for a while, about what if the light is a trap. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm not telling you it is today, right? But I'm saying, let's explore this. It might
what
be.
If?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep. What if it's a trap?
And Greg, the people that I'm now drawing to me, because I'm like operating from my perspective finally, not what I think I should be or what somebody told me. And so the people that I'm drawing are on the same path almost exactly. It's like they're so linked in karmically or so linked in energetically that they're thinking the same thing I was, or they beat me to it and then I got to catch up, or I beat them and they catch up. And it's everywhere, and it's just growing. And I think it's going to be exponential. As you know, my old website was your potential is exponential. I still say that. I think we're limitless. It's just we got limited coming to this damn simulation.
You were talking about, was it a full moon in Scorpio?
Yes.
Was it? Yeah. And that, tell me a little bit more about that, because you said that there's a lot of potential with this.
Yes. It's early in the sign, and it's going to square up the Pluto and Aquarius. And then we have Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus with the sun, right? Opposing the moon. And so guess what those are? Those are the fixed signs. I only talked a little bit about this, but I'm always mesmerized by the fixed signs because I had a lot of planets in the angular houses, which are cardinal, which you got to go, you got to do, and don't worry about where you're going. But as I've advanced, I had to get the understanding of the fixed energy, which was you must apply yourself, but that's not all you worry about is your application. You worry about what you're learning and what you did, but you also got to learn how that influenced your environment. And so you must apply, and then you must observe, and you must vacillate between the two. You can't just apply. You must learn. And this is the first step to becoming a master, is that you realize when I drop into that lake that's calm as hell, the ripple effect will continue, and it will continue, and it will continue. And once you realize just how much power you have and how that ripple effect works, then you start mastering the fixed sign. But you got to have some persistence. You got to be stubborn to say, I got to sit in the middle. And man, I got some Scorpios out there that they do not like to sit in the middle. When something happens, they've got to fix it. They got to, and if they can do it, any of you can do it. I'm telling you. And it's been magical watching, but it's where I am. And I think it's where we are that we're learning. And when this fixed stuff coming, we're going to get a lot of stuff to try to alter you, to get you to feel either fearful or I got to do something, and if you can sit in the middle, you're going to win this damn thing. And then if you can keep to what you know and don't let somebody change you, you are absolutely going to like where you end up. And that's the full moon.
Give me an example. You were talking about, you have to apply and then observe.
Yeah.
Give an example.
So I'll give you an example like in my life. I work and sell food products and seafood mostly. Mm-hmm. And forever, the industries, because it's the control has been gained by the elite, they would create, let's just talk about crab industry. If they didn't like the crab prices in Canada, and all you Canadians out there, I'm not getting after you. I'm just discussing so you can understand what we had to, how I got here.
By the way, Trudeau sucks to all you Canadians. We hate him. We hate him as well.
Oh yeah, well Trudeau, no, he's not a Canadian. I don't think. I think he's, who his dad
Cuban.
is.
Cuban.
Yes,
yeah,
I think so. Trudeau sucks. So what they did was they create these little stumbling blocks for markets. So let's say they went out and the biomass was tremendous, and everybody knew and they were catching a lot of crab. Well, they would put I just saw a whale. We have to stop fishing. They put these little stop gaps in there to affect markets, right? It's not fair trade. It's always in the best interest of the guy with the most money, right? So they would say, oh, we saw a whale. All right, all fishing stop. Well, a crab grows through its shell, right? And it molts, right? So there's only a short window. You get a good hard shell with a lot of meat. If you wait too long, he breaks out of that shell, and then he's in the new one that's soft, not a lot of meat. So they know this, and they create scenarios like that. Then the importers would then take and lie. They lie every year and say they don't have crab. They want to push it in May when it starts, push it in October for the holidays. Guess what? Every year in December and January, there's crab they're trying to get rid of. They do that to elevate prices. COVID took the market from an average of $6 to 16 in COVID.
Gotta watch what you say. The C word.
Well, COVID. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that when the COVID thing happened.
Don't be saying the C word on YouTube. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Well, then forget that. So that took it to $16. Created a glut in the market. Gregg, more money from I don't know where came in and bought that crab on speculation. I don't know where the money came from, but I'm real sure I think it came from the Black Rocks, and it came from somewhere else, right? And it came in and it consumed all this, and then they sold it to people that then lost their you-know-whats. And that's a scenario I can tell you about because I lived it. It's exactly as it unfolded. It happens in every business sector out there. Stock market,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So,
The
yeah,
Great Depression, where they had the fictitious bank collapse that was started by the elite, and then they
yep.
went back in and bought all these businesses and stuff for
For
pennies
cents
on the
on the dollar.
dollar.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
and
And
it was
so
all controlled. It was planned and controlled.
it's all planned. It's all planned and controlled. So I hope that's a narrative that people can understand, because it's one I think about a lot that I had to figure out.
So when is the next collapse?
We're in it. But here's the thing: when you're in the collapse, you don't know it, right? Because you're in it, and the narratives every day are, "We're fine," and they say this, and "We're fine," and they say that. And well, we had the ship hit the bridge there in Maryland. That
Yep.
caused way more problems than you'll ever know. I'm just telling you.
The
Yeah, I'm just
ripple
telling you.
effect. Yeah.
Yes, I'm in the food industry. It caused way more problems than you'll ever know. So we're having things like that happen, but they can bounce to the narratives because they know they got us on the next hot topic. So what I'm telling people to do is don't fall for the hot topic. Don't become an expert of headlines. Don't do that.
Why do I have that commercial popping through my head? Hot pockets, hot topics.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, shit. What about cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
Yay, nay? What's going on with them?
I want to be careful because I was watching guys and I had my shirt, my Cliff High shirt. I don't know if you know him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have it. I had my Cliff High shirt, so I was hoping to be on, but it's okay. He talked about Bitcoin, and I couldn't, it was in the $5, $10, $20, $25 when he talked about it. I just couldn't pull the trigger. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So I own crypto. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's a good
What
idea.
do you think? What do you think?
I kind of bought some baby Doge.
Okay.
And
before Elon Musk or?
No, that was Dogecoin. This is baby Doge.
You got baby Doge. I don't know about baby Doge.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about when it was started. So.
And I just sit on it.
Yeah.
It's gone up, it's gone down, and I don't have a lot invested in it. So whatever happens, happens. That's where I'm at. If something turns around and it skyrockets, great. And if it collapses to nothing, I really didn't lose that much. So.
Well, I think FTX got out of their financial issue. It was a coin called Red Coin. You can look up. It happened December 23rd. It was 0.0004 cents, like the 20th of December. On December 22nd, 23rd, it went to $428.
Damn.
I had over 200,000 of them, but I didn't have any set buy or sell.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you can do the math on that.
No, I don't want to. That would be depressing.
You don't want to do the math on that. Anyway, it happened in a 2-day period. Now, I didn't get it, but that's how they get out of these FTX guys. I believe that's how they got out of their mess, right? Because they ran it up, sold it, boom, it dropped right back. And it's at 0.0004 now, right where it started. Red Coin. Look at it. RDD.
I saw a video, I think it was on Netflix, called Bitcoin. Interesting video about how sleazy some of these people in the crypto industry are. And at the end of the movie, they said that like 70% of the cryptocurrencies are scams.
Yes. Yep. Well, look how gambling has evolved. You can gamble on everything now. My Easter, my family was over. They were gambling on the coin flip. They were gambling on, I'm like, what are we doing? So, and they were just mesmerized to keep themselves occupied during a game on things that didn't determine the outcome.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Got another question here that I wrote down. How did the planetary positions and transits during the 1960s influence the counterculture movement? The Summer of Love and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I do think that a lot of what was going on in the 60s, I looked at Pluto we were born then, Pluto in Virgo, where we were trying to perfect. We knew we needed to do better. We need to do. and like there was so much more we need to know. We weren't going to go by. So I think the Pluto and Virgo got us, and I think the transit of Uranus, and because it's 7 years in a sign, and Uranus went into Leo, Virgo, and Libra. That I think that really made us. Leo rules the house of fun, the house of the spirit, right? I think both of those were very influential for the 60s for how we transformed. And I also think the lies, Pluto being a Virgo, if we were trying to find the exact answer, they were lying to us like hell on the other end too, if that makes sense. So I think the hidden to us and our ability to get the information started then as well.
Will the 2024 election go off without a hitch?
Yeah, I'm real careful about those things, because politics are 100% controlled, right? And so I want to be careful. I will say that we have not seen. How am I going to put this? There's hidden that we have not seen. Maybe a different candidate, but there's something that's going to happen. Maybe more, probably more than one, probably three things that'll happen that none of us can see right now. And I don't want to pinpoint it because of the planets we're dealing with. But I will say that we're dealing with, we don't know what we're quite dealing with yet. Us, I'm talking about, the ones that aren't in the know.
What's your gut feeling?
Well, my gut feeling is they have to relieve some pressure. So they're going to have to give the guy or the girl that they think will relieve the most pressure based on how strenuous things are. And so it'll appear to be a savior, but it won't be. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, wow. Well, that's interesting.
Well, it's going to save it, but not in the way that people think, I guess. So, and man, we'll have to do the rest on Rumble, because I would really get into something that would get us both.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Just a general question, because Allie does weekly tarot forecasts for all the astrology signs, and she has them check their sun, moon, and rising. Now, your sun sign, everyone knows their sun sign. Like I was born in October. I'm a Libra. I'm actually a triple Libra.
Yeah.
But what's the significance of the rising and the moon signs?
The rising would be the one I would get after. I would try to get that out of the individual, because that sets all the positions of the planets, not only at birth, but now where they're transiting in your life, right? By the rising sign. And it's easy to find, Greg, if you started where the 9 was on the clock face, and you divide it into 12 equal segments, you go in counterclockwise, going counterclockwise. House 1 would start at the 9, and then it would go towards the 8 and the 7.
Gotcha.
So you'd have 12. So that would be 6 a.m. on your birthday. You could get this fairly close to know your rising sign. And then every 2 hours, right? So 6 a.m. would be between 9 and 7 and 8. And then all the way to midnight would be where 6 is that day of your birth. 6 p.m. would be where the 3 is on the clock of your chart. And then the high noon point would be at noon. So if you knew your birth time, you could get your rising real close and your sun, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Now your moon, that changes every 2.5 days. You've got to look that one up. So.
For me, it's easy. I'm, being a triple Libra, I just check Libra.
Wow, no wonder you're so easy to get along. I didn't realize you were triple, and I knew you probably told me a triple Libra. Damn.
Yeah. What does that mean? So for someone that's a triple of any sign,
the message came. Well, it's ruled by Venus, so love, right? And then it's about the self and the not self. Do you surrender and you give your power to them, or do you try to wield your power, and then do you feel bad and have to give? So you're constantly balancing an action that you take, an action they take. What does that mean? And merging with somebody else, but you disguise that, so to speak, and it's not a disguise by it's easy to get into your realm. Does that make sense? I mean, you're easy to get to, and you're easy to chat, easy to like initially, if that makes sense.
A lot of people think that Libras are all about balance. It's the exact opposite. We're constantly seeking.
You're seeking balance. It's not about balance. It's seeking balance. Absolutely. Yep.
No.
Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But you do allow others in. You seem inviting. But then what you do is you attract takers. That's what I warn most Libras, heavy Libras, is, man, you're going to have a life where takers they're going to show up. So
energy vampires. Yeah.
Yep. And you're going to let them in. That's how you are. But you're learning, right? You're learning. So
that's what you were talking about, about applying yourself and then observing and growing from that situation.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the hardest thing for Libras is when they stand up for themselves, they feel guilt. When they don't stand up for others, they feel guilt. It's like, man, at every turn, I feel guilty. And so you have to fight through that. You fight through and you go, no, I'm learning here, and I came to this is one of my big lessons. You being triple Libra, that's a tremendous lesson.
I remember seeing on Kendra's birth chart that she was born during a Mercury retrograde.
Yep.
What does that mean for people that are born in a Mercury retrograde?
I always, it's retro starts with RE. So I always throw the RE in front of, you get to redo, rethink, readjust. So what this life's about is that, hey, you're probably very, very, very smart, but you're going to get tripped up on some really goofy stuff. So it's about making sure you dot the I's, cross the T's, and don't get frustrated if something has to be done again, so to speak. And so I like retrograde Mercury because I think you learn in the end that, man, I just got to keep going, and the lesson is in the journey. I think that's what a retrograde Mercury individual ends up learning. Kendra
says it means that I'm a Virgotard.
If she's Virgo and retrograde Mercury, yes, she's trouble. I'm telling you right now. Analysis paralysis kills her.
And what was great about Kendra having her as a co-host and that Virgo monkey mind was that she would cover all the bases. She would think of some amazing questions to ask our guests.
And I'd look at them like, man, that's really well thought out. You must really, really, really analyze that, and they did, and that's who they are. I call them the analysis paralysis group. So.
Yeah, that little monkey mind.
Yep.
Funny. I got some more questions here. Hang on. What about the difference of houses in someone's birth chart? How do they influence different areas of our life?
Well, I try to do. I try to cover all bases when I did teach this for a few years, and it was a lot of fun. What I try to do is put it in as many scenarios that they can be listening, but they can feel, right? And so if I can give them something visual as I'm talking, I think that it does double the work. That'll help them as they learn. So house 1 through 3, anything in there, sign, planet, springtime. What do you do in the spring, right? House 4 through 6, summer. What's summer? What are you supposed to do in the summer? House 7 through 9, fall. What do you do in the fall time? House 10 through 12, winter. What's the necessary task in winter? And so if you can take that and grasp the seasons and you go, I put, like for me, I have Saturn in the first house. That's in springtime. Well, Saturn says you got to lay a plan. You got to work the plan. You got to stick with it. You can't, you got to do your part. Well, but it's in the first house and it's in the very first cardinal sign. So cardinal ruled house. So that's about just getting started. Yeah, but I threw Saturn in there. Well, guess what, buddy? It'll be very burdensome for you to start things, if that makes sense. You have to get through the burden of Saturn, the delays, the restrictions, you want to put it off because you got it in the first house. You got to step and go, no, I got to jump on this. The good thing about that is I think you have a master's approach looking at it with Saturn there, but it's just to begin is like every ounce of energy you got sometimes.
So you're starting things, and then you get kicked in your ass and shot down, and you pick yourself back up again, and it's hard to move forward.
Yes. And then, and if you have stuff in the cardinal, like 1, 4, 7, and 10, those are cardinal houses, you don't need to know how it ends. You just need to get the damn thing started, right? And that's where a lot of people struggle, because they get it started and they're like, but I don't know I don't know where it needs to go. And you don't need to. You get it out there, and somebody else will get it to where it needs to go. You just start it. But people don't get that, Same way if you have a lot of planets in house 1, 2, and 3, springtime, you plant the damn seed, right? Get your ass out there and plant the seeds. Let's go.
Explain the difference between the different astrologies. You have Vedic and you have Western, and some people say that Ophiuchus should be included, which would totally fuck everything up.
Yeah. And I guess I have a lot of really old books. I had an astrologer here in Charlotte that was an older lady. She was in her 70s. And she called me and she said, look, I've been following you. And God told me this is who I need to give my books to. She had probably 20 bank books of books, right? And there's some really old ones. So I went and got them. And she said, the only thing you have to promise is that you'll give the books. You'll share them. I said, I promise you. And so I do. I share. And the only thing I ask people is, if you don't give them back to me, give them to somebody else, right? So in that, what I found, Greg, we could put 20 signs in there if we wanted, right? This is a defining of where planets that we could visually see for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and what happened in the society at the time. So we have a pretty good base. So you can put other signs in there. I don't care. Your base is your base, and it's got a pretty good starting point. So if you just start with that, which I did. I started with a lot of the ancients and the older stuff. It's going to prove itself to be effective. Because I hear some people talk about Capricorn, and then when they want to say that we're in Capricorn and not Aquarius, they make it sound like the sign Aquarius. And I'm like, whatever, it's okay. I think confusion is part of this gig right now. They're trying to get as chaotic as they can. But yeah. I guess I tell you is, do it to yourself. Do astrology yourself. Learn. Find others close that'll be honest with you. You'll get where you need to go. I don't worry about Vedic. I don't worry about any of the other stuff. If it works for them and they figure out how to apply it, then damn it, apply it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
What about how the precession of the equinox, moving 1 degree every 72 years or something like that?
Yeah, and
does that eventually affect things?
Well, that's interesting, because that's like the nodes. If you think about eclipses on planet, that's the nodes of how we face and understand the universe, if that makes sense. So to me, that's fascinating. And I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be here for 2,500 years. No. So what I'm doing is trying to find out what the history that we have, if it's true or not. And I'm going with what's deep inside of me. And I'm going with that. I do think we're in the age of Aquarius, because the awakening has been ridiculous for myself and for others that I've been lucky to encounter.
Well, I hope none of us are still here after 25,000 years. I hope we've actually moved on to the next progression of spirituality by
Absolutely. Then. If not, I don't know what you'd be. I don't know what form of what you'd be if you were still here. So.
Yeah, it means we fucked up really bad. We kept getting sent back, and
we fucked up more than once. Good God. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've ever done this? Done this before? Do you believe in reincarnation?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Do you know of any of your past lives?
People that talk about their past lives fascinate me. Because that's a realm I can't get. I'm not gonna say I can't. I haven't got to. I don't think I need that. But I do not discount others when they talk about their past life. But I have had, Greg, where I went places and I was home. I went to Nova Scotia. I was home. I was home at a place in Indiana. I mean, it was like I had been there, I was home down in Argentina when I was there. So there's a few places I've been that I know I've been there, right? I just knew it. And I couldn't, it wasn't like I knew landmarks and stuff. It's just like I resonated with that.
I can't speak for you, but I can pick things up intuitively. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you have had some kind of past life, perhaps in Salem, perhaps as,
Okay.
I'm not saying that you were, a bad witch. There's good witches, bad witches. You might have been one of those people, your connection to astrology and nature and stuff like that, and your affinity for wanting to know that kind of knowledge, raw, basic, earthy kind of knowledge. It just resonates as that kind of past life.
Well, thank you, because I do feel that. I mean, that resonates with what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know things, and I cannot tell you how I know them, and it don't matter to me. I don't want to prove it to you. I don't have to, right?
You don't.
I don't want to say, go to this book, page 67, right, in the third paragraph. That's how I know that. No, I know this. I just do, But I think we all have that instinct, right? I think we all have that ability.
I had a past life as a Mayan elder, and it was in like the Belize area, and I wasn't anyone famous. I was just an old man during the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay.
And they threatened to kill me if I didn't convert to Christianity. And I lied to them. I said, okay, I will. But I wanted to just pass my knowledge on to my children and grandchildren.
Yep.
Pass and share that. And I just remember the hurt of the Spaniards parading through and destroying everything that my country and civilization stood for. And it makes, the irony is that I'm a quarter Spanish.
Oh,
but
wow.
in this lifetime, I came in with a knowing and a disdain for organized religion. I just knew that as soon as I walked into a church, Sunday school as a child, I would get the EBGBs. Something's not right about this.
Right.
And that's
you just had that knowing. You just had the knowing. That
was from my past life.
Yep.
Being threatened.
Well, now don't feel bad for having that some of that heritage of Spanish, because of, I think the best like teachers and the true masters have to understand all sides, and I think that's just what you did, right? It sounds like that's what you did, and that makes you the master of the masters, right? So.
Had a couple lives in Atlantis. One, I was an artist and a sculptor. And then at the end, I was a scientist in charge of the genetic modification of plants, animals, and insects. And I was there with my wife, Allie, and we neither of us were good people back then. And I think that in our past lives, we've been all the best of the best and the worst of the worst. And you've shared a few of those lives yourselves. Mm-hmm. We all have.
Yes.
You might not know what they were, but we all had to go through that crap.
Yes. Oh, I think that's how you truly have the understanding that's necessary to be the master. You can't be a master unless you truly understand the extremes.
Would it make sense that, like, in my next lifetime, let's say I hypothetically have to come back here again? But chances are I probably wouldn't come back. Well, definitely I wouldn't come back as Gregg Prescott, and I wouldn't come back probably as a triple Libra. I'd probably be something the exact opposite. I might be a chick and with 3 different sun, moon, and rising signs. Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe the element of water would be something you'd have to bring to, you know what I'm saying? You brought air, where it's like, I'm going to communicate my message and try to figure out what the message is from others. Maybe it would be water you'd have to do. I don't know. And maybe you could be a female, but I always find it fascinating how I've been really fascinated on the female perspective. Obviously, I'm ruled by Venus, both sun and moon. But it's because it's like those are my last things I just didn't grasp, and I could feel that. And so when I'm here, that's what I've really spent time trying to figure out. So.
My daughter, Brittany, gosh, she turns 30 in July, but
wow,
she's a Leo. So, and my air, triple air, feeds her fire, and it's an amazing symbiotic relationship. Can you explain a little about how certain signs are more amicable with others versus some that might not be?
Yeah, I mean, you think of the elements, right, and what the elements need to, be and survive, and air and fire. Air feeds fire, right? So you're looking to communicate. They're looking to try to understand and think of what fire does. It takes an element, it heats it up, changes its form, and it heats it, and the air grows, the energy goes up. Everything's trying to get better. You're trying to get better from a communicative standpoint. So you two together are like, I mean, that's just like that's like a hand in a glove. I've been fascinated, and I've spent time lately on water, because if you think about water, it breaks things down to the finest particles. If you don't figure or know or understand the complicated form, it'll break it down enough for you to start figuring out in its simplest form, and to then piece it back together. So water's been fascinating to me, and I've started to really figure it out. Earth needs water to survive, right? So they work very well here on the physical plane. Water will break it down. Water will nurture it. Water to help those together. But you go fire and water, you're in big trouble, right? Because it'll take and steam, right? You dump water on a fire, and it's going to turn to steam. That's a quick result that can be explosive, right? So you want to be careful. And then air. I always talk about air. You can't see it. That's the detriment to it, right? It's if we had a field of hay, and it was it was a fescue that had gone to seed. If the breeze came across, you'd see each one bend, touch. So the air would get them all to communicate and touch each other, but you can't see it physically. That's a problem here on Earth, right? They want physical proof, and the air signs don't necessarily provide that, if that makes sense. So.
My wife, Allie, is a Pisces water sign.
Okay.
And she has a Libra rising and a Sag moon. And
wow.
We both share the Libra rising part.
Right.
And the way I see it with air and water sign needs the air. H2O is part air. So
it is.
It's a good combination. It's a good mixture.
Well, and I like that you're both Libras, because you're on the same cycle.
Yes.
Saturn's in the same house for you that you're dealing with transiting as it is for her. So it's kind of like in your path, you're kind of on the same journey. You're really close.
Well, she was born in, I think, was it 1971, 72? So she's still part of our Pluto and Virgo group as well.
Very in. Yep. Yeah. Well, and I probably have 8 or 10 people that all have the same rising sign I do, that I've slowly, got to know. So it's kind of interesting. Or if not the same, they're only off by a hair, right? And so they're on the same level or plane that we are, as we're all trying to evolve. So, with the Aquarius rising. So.
One of the more fascinating conversations I've had in all the time I've been hosting shows was that when we covered the Pluto generations, and we started out, I think, with Pluto and Cancer, maybe.
I think we started in Cancer, yeah.
Yeah, and we worked our way all the way to like Sagittarius, Capricorn. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think we got to Capricorn. That was an amazing show. I had so much fun doing that.
I did too, and I ended up downloading that segment. But what I have always wanted to do was to put visuals to it as well and re-upload that. It was a fascinating topic.
Yes.
I've always said that my favorite generation is the Pluto and Leo generation, the ones that came before us, because they lit the path. They held the torch. They were doing things and holding the ground and holding space for us. While, like for myself, I was playing in hard rock bands in the 80s.
Yep.
And spirituality was the last thing that was on my mind, but they were still there holding space.
And they,
do.
You think of Leo, and that is the spirit at its finest. And you're right, man. They, at all costs, they said, no, I found a purpose, and I am living. I am going to live with all capital letters. They were fascinating. Absolutely.
In this genre, that would be people like Dolores Cannon, Barbara Marciniak, Masaru Emoto, John Major Jenkins, Terrence McKenna.
Yes.
So many people of that age. Both of my sisters. My oldest sister is only 3 years older than me. My next oldest is only 2, but they're both Pluto and Leo.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy.
And
So,
they were heroes. I mean, a lot of those were true heroes, I think,
yeah,
Yep.
the trailblazers.
Yes.
They paved the way for the rest of us. And I don't think many of us would be doing what we're doing, at least not in the capacity or in the volume of what we're doing, if it wasn't for all of them.
That's a fact. That is just an absolute fact. Yep.
Well, Jim, we've been on for over, I don't want to keep you here any longer, but it always goes by quickly with you. It's always been a pleasure. Is there any way that you can tell the people about how to contact you and, give your information out to everyone?
Yeah, you can go to my YouTube channel. Probably the best at this point because I got off all the other Facebook and all that stuff. I'm not on Instagram or anything, but I have plenty of people that I read. I'm very busy. I will take people that resonate with me. So if I am that for you, that's the ones I want because I think they're going to meet me halfway. So Panther Jim 1995 is the YouTube channel. And you can IM me on any of the videos I have there. I do have an email address. It's sfdastjim@gmail.com. You can email me there as well.
I already put a link. If you're watching on Facebook, it's right above this video. If you're watching on YouTube, it's below in the more info section for Jim's channel. So click on that, subscribe to his channel, and stay tuned for our next chat that we'll have here. Jim and I, hopefully we can do this maybe once a month or something like that. Would you be up? Yeah, that's great, man. I would love it too, because there's always so many things going on. Things are changing, and I always like getting your opinion.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And a bunch of people that were following me said, "Oh, are you prepared?" I said, "I don't prepare for Gregg. We're in the universe's energy, and we just let it flow." And that's what we did tonight. So people truly, we didn't prepare for nothing. I didn't. So
I was just like writing down little notes as we were going along. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah.
So
not necessary.
You're fascinating, and you've done a hell of a job of finding yourself, so we can enjoy it. So thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Same here, brother.
So stay tuned. I'll let you guys all know about when our next show will be, and maybe we'll in the meanwhile, besides next month, maybe sometime between then, Jim and I will talk after the show. We can do a live and uncensored show.
Love it.
Talk about stuff like that. Good. So that'll end it for tonight, one-on-one with Gregg Prescott, with my guest Jim Dellicolli, Astrologer. Check him out on YouTube. Links, like I said, are above or below, depending on if you're on Facebook or YouTube. So until the next time, on behalf of Jim and myself, we're sending you all infinite love and light from our hearts to yours. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
All right.